Hello, welcome. My name is Claudia, and this is our first session of the 6 weeks long program where we go through the foundations of the Astanga practice. So to get started, you just need a sticky mat to sit upon. Take off your socks and find a comfortable sitting position. This tutorial today will cover the foundation of the practice, which is Surya Namaskar A, the first of the sun salutation practices. So coming to sitting first, and let's see, sitting can be uncomfortable at the beginning, so you want to make sure that your hips can stay relaxed. So sometimes when we're sitting on the floor, it's handy to have a little blanket or a pillow to just sit a little bit higher. And that will allow your knees to come a little lower and your hips to stay more relaxed. So make sure that you have a little blanket or something next to you that you can use whenever that is needed. You can sit with your legs crossed and just for a minute, with your eyes closed, feel your body in this position. And you just start to connect to your breath. This is a breathing practice, so our main aim is to start connecting our body, our movements consciously with the breath. And then the main quality of breathing that we use during practice, it's called Ujjayi, but mostly it's deep diaphragmatic breathing. So the diaphragm sits somewhere in the middle of your chest. You want to place your hands just to the side. The thumb goes back and the other 4 fingers forward, where you're holding the floating ribs, these bones here, which are open at the front and attach all the way to the spine at the back. And just using the hands, you're going to direct your breath into that part of the body where the diaphragm sits, so that you're sure that the breath becomes a little longer and that you're really using the diaphragm here to breathe. As you see and as you feel in your hands, the inhale will have your hands moving out to the side as your ribcage expands. And the exhalation will reduce the space in between your hands as the ribs just come close to each other at the front. This is the movement of the diaphragm. Make sure that you breathe always through the nose, keeping the mouth closed. So when you feel that you're gasping for air and you need to open your mouth, you know you've been doing too much effort. You can just take a moment, if that's the case, to reconnect to the breath, slow the breath down. And then when you're reconnecting to the breath, breathing through the nostrils, you're ready to start again. We will talk more about the breath as we go through the sessions. For now, just release your hands, and we're going to synchronize the breath with the movement together. So we're going to raise one arm on the inhale. You can start with your right hand, inhale, and exhale. The other hand, inhale, and exhale. So I'm synchronizing the movement, inhale, exhale. Keep going, alternating your arms, inhale, exhale. Making sure that the breath begins and the movement follows. So I start the inhalation and then the movement follows. Finish the movement, finish the inhale. Exhale begins, movement, movement finish, exhale finish. Inhale, and exhale. We do the same with both arms. Inhale, palms are facing up as I bring my arms up. Exhale. Palms facing down when I take the hands down. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Now I'm going to add the movement of the head. Inhale, I bring the arms up and take the head a little bit back so there's space for the hands to come close to each other and touch. Exhale, the arms come back down and the head comes back to center. We do it again. Inhale, palms facing up. Bring the hands together. The head moves back. Fingers together. Exhale. The arms come back down. Head back to center. One last time. Inhale, bring your hands up. Bring the head a little back. Give space to the hands to touch. Look towards your thumbs. Exhale, bring the hands back down. Good. We're going to come now on the hands and knees position and start to find the ground under the hands and under the knees and feet. So what you want to have is your hands with the fingers well spread and making sure that this line is straight. So your wrists are straight under the shoulders, not too far in front, not too far back, just straight on top of your shoulders. Distance of your hands is more or less the distance of your shoulders. And the hands are very well grounded. You spread the fingers wide, and particularly at the roots of the finger, you press into the floor. The thumb, the index finger, pressing down, stretching all 10 of your fingers. Distance of your shoulders for your hands, distance roughly of your hips for your knees. Same idea, the knees are straight under the sit bones, so you're creating this tabletop position, which is very stable and very grounded. Keep your elbows soft, and the top of the feet pressing slightly on the ground. Now we connect to the breath, and we connect to a very important movement in all the yoga practices, which is the tilting of the pelvis. The pelvis tilted backward or forward, and that has an impact on the spine. We call this the cat and cow. So as you start tilting the pelvis forward, you feel that the sit bones and the tailbone is moving up, and then there's an arch that goes into your lower spine. Use this movement to also bring the head up to increase the arch in the back. This is the inhalation. And with the exhalation, we tuck the tailbone. So this is the backward tilt of the pelvis. And we bring also the belly towards the spine and the chin towards the chest. Again, we move with the breath. So the inhalation begins. The pelvis tilts forward, coming into a curve in the back, looking up, arching. This is a back bend. And exhaling, tucking the tailbone. As we do that, we press firmly the hands and the shoulders into the floor. And we bring the chin to the chest, looking towards the belly. Inhale, forward tilt to the pelvis. Remember, you're synchronizing the movement with the breath, breathing through the nose. And exhaling, tuck your tailbone. Pull the belly slightly in towards the spine. Pressing the hands and the shoulders, we're stretching the whole back. One last time. Inhale, forward tilt. You feel the sit bones opening up, the arch in the back. Look up. And exhale, tuck your tailbone, bring the belly in towards the spine. Look towards your belly. Inhale, come back to the neutral position. We're going to tuck the toes, feet at the distance of the hips. Take a nice deep inhalation here. And with the exhalation, rise your hips up and come into downward facing dog. You're going to stretch your legs and see if there's space in the back of the legs. Your heels might come all the way down to the floor. It might not happen, so it might be that the heels are sticking a little bit out. That's also fine. Pressing through the hands, through the arms. Relax the head. Make sure that it's free to hang loose. And just feel the shape. Sit bones moving up. Back of the head stretching. The back of the knees stretching and lengthening. Press the hands firmly into the ground. Press the heels down and press the back of the legs. Breathing. Keeping the breath steady and long. And you can try here also the forward tilt of the pelvis.
which increase the stretch in the back of the legs, the backward tilt of the pelvis, which brings the belly a little more in. Less movement in this shape, but still the principle applies. If you feel too much strain in the back of the legs or in your lower back, bend your knees a little bit. And with your head, when you feel that the neck is free and loose, you can bring the chin slightly in and gaze towards your belly or in between your thighs. And then on the exhalation, come back towards your knees. Let's have a look at child pose. If this might be a little heavy at the beginning, if you're not used to put weight onto your arms and wrists. So you're sitting back pretty much onto your heels, resting your chest towards the thighs and the forehead on the ground. If you can't reach the forehead to the ground, just stack your hands on top of each other and rest your forehead on your hands. This is a good recovery position where you can take extra breath to just reconnect to the natural, deep diaphragmatic breathing. And when you've done that, we're coming back into downward dog for the next sequence of movement, which is what we use to connect in the sun salutation, the upward facing, downward facing movement with the plank position. We're looking at a couple of options. So come back into downward facing dog. Again, check that the spacing between your hands is roughly the distance of your shoulders. The fingers are well spread. Check the spacing between your feet. The heels releasing down towards the floor. The legs straight if possible, otherwise a little bend. Relax the head and neck. Gaze towards your belly or in between your thighs. Take a deep breath in and out. And then with the inhalation, come into plank position. So you're bringing your shoulders straight on top of your wrist pretty much. Now again, watch that you're not sinking into an arch in your back. You're going to tuck your tailbone, bring it a little bit back towards your heels so that you're solid and strong into your core muscle and your belly is engaged here. From here, bring the knees slowly towards the floor, and this is a high plank. So as a plank, we exhale and bending the elbows slowly to take the chest all the way down to the floor. Point your toes, activate your legs. When I activate the legs, my kneecaps come off the floor. And then I also want to bring the shoulders all the way back to create a little more space in the front of the body. I haven't moved my hands, so from here, I inhale and rise just the chest a little bit, and exhale, come all the way down. This action is really through the arms and the back muscles. Inhale, lift. My hips and my pubic bones stay pressing on the floor. Exhale, down. Again, inhale. This is cobra position. It's a simple and gentle back bend. Exhale, down. One more time, inhale, come into cobra. The shoulders are moving back and down. You can take the head a little bit up if it doesn't strain the neck. Exhale all the way down. Keep your legs engaged. Inhale, come into cobra. And then from here, I keep pushing via the knees. I'm back into my hands and knees position. I tuck the toes and exhale, lifting all the way into downward facing dog. So we do this a few times. Inhale, come into high plank, tuck the tailbone, activate your core muscles, bring the knees to the chest, to the floor, and slowly exhale, elbows by the side, all the way down to the floor. Point your toes, roll the shoulders back. Inhale, come up into cobra position. Exhale, push up via the knees, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog. Take an extra breath. And again, inhale, come into plank position. The heels are moving back, tailbone moving towards the heels, shoulders open. Take your knees to the floor. Exhale, slowly move the weight of the chest down. Roll the shoulders back, point your toes. Inhale, lift the chest, look straight ahead of you. Exhale via the knees. I'm pushing my hips up into downward facing dog. Extra breath. The last time, inhale into the plank position, high plank. Bring the knees down towards the floor. Exhale, remember the tailbone is moving down towards the heels, the belly protecting the spine. Point your toes, roll the shoulders back. Active legs. Inhale, come into cobra. Look straight ahead. And exhale, near the knees, lift your hips up into downward facing dog. Come down into child pose for a moment. Resting the forehead on the ground. Reconnecting to the sound of the breath. This is the easier of the variations that we can use all the time for the sun salutations. When this becomes easy and there's a bit more strength built into the body, we are going for the full version of upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, and downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So we start again from the hands and knees position to have a good foundation into the body. Tuck the toes and exhale, coming into downward facing dog. From downward dog, inhale into the high plank. And then when we're ready, again, the heels are moving back. The tailbone is moving towards the heels. The belly is engaged. And I'm exhaling, slowly bending the elbows. But this time I'm hovering off the floor. I'm not hitting the floor. The legs stay off. And then from here, inhale, I roll over the toes and open into upward facing dog. So the arms here are straight, legs engaged, they're off the floor. The shoulders moving back, looking straight. And then again, rolling over the toes, exhale, lift the hips up into downward facing dog. We do it again. Take an extra breath. Inhale, come into high plank. Make it strong. Exhale, bend your elbows, coming slowly off the floor. Inhale, roll over the toes as you push the chest forward and the shoulders back, straight ahead. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips, push up into downward facing dog. The rolling of the toes is something that might take a little bit of practice to do, and it's not as bad as it looks. And eventually you will step your feet one at a time. But if it's possible from the very beginning, learning to roll over the toes will make the practice much smoother. One more time. High plank. Slowly exhale. Inhale, roll over the toes. Here we want to have again the shoulders on top of the wrists, the shoulders moving back as the chest moves forward. I'm looking at the tip of the nose. And exhale, rolling the toes, lift the hips, and downward facing dog. One more breath. And then we move to the next set of movements. From here, bend the knees and look towards your hands. And then with the inhale, walk your feet forward one by one so the feet are touching together and they land in between your hands. If you have the space, the hands stay on the floor. If you don't have enough space, you might end up on your fingertips at this moment, or even bending the knees a little bit. Inhale, lift your chest. Keep contact of your fingertips or even the whole hands onto the floor. And exhale, release it down. We do this a few times. Inhale, lift the chest. It's not so much the neck, but really lengthening the chest. So we're lengthening here at the waist and at the front of the chest. And then with the exhalation, we return into full forward bend. One more time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Press the feet into the ground when you do that. Exhale down. From here, we press the feet, engage the legs. Inhale, coming up. So I'm coming up with strong legs. And at the same time, this is the inhalation. We bring the hands all the way up. The head is behind the arms and looking up to the thumbs. Exhale, the arms by the side.
These are pretty much all the movements that we need for Surya Namaskar A. So we're going to put them all together and start to flow into this sequence of movement with the breath. We start always in Samastitihi, equal standing. The feet are touching. Any point of contact in between your feet will do. And that will depend a little bit on the shape of your bones. We ground and we find the mid-weight. So making sure that we're not leaning too much forward or we're not leaning too much back. The arms are steady by the side. The fingers are active, close between each other. And the shoulders are moving all the way back and down. Try to reduce the amount of tension that we carry generally around the shoulders and neck. And again, finding that deep diaphragmatic breathing, which works primarily in the area of the middle ribs. We start from here. Exhale completely. We can bring the hands up either to the side and down, or to the front and down. Only watch that when you bring your arms up in either direction, you're not going into a back bend. Yeah? So again, there's a little bit of tucking of the tailbone. It's a neutral position for your tailbone and pelvis, but you want to support it from holding a little bit of the abdominal core engaged at the front. Ready to start? Roll the shoulders back, activate your fingers, exhale completely. Inhale, bring your hands up, move the head back to give space to the hands to come together, look towards your thumbs, tailbone down. Exhale, bend forward, active legs, bring the hands all the way down to the floor. If you need, you can bend the knees, relax the head. Inhale, lift your chest and lengthen here. And then exhale, you're going to step your feet back one by one into the plank position. So feet are hip distance apart, hands shoulder distance apart. Then for the simple version, bring the knees towards the floor. Exhale your chest slowly all the way down. Point your toes, activate your legs, roll the shoulders all the way back. Inhale, coming into Cobra position. Raise your head. Exhale, push via the knees, tuck your toes, and rise into downward facing dog. You might want to check if you need to move your feet or not, but keep them at the distance of your hips with the heels releasing down towards the floor. In this pose, we stay for 5 deep breaths. Take the chin slightly in and we look towards the belly or in between the thighs. Soft gaze. 1. 2. Keep the breath long and steady. 3. 4. And 5. Bend the knees, look forward towards your hands, and you're going to step your feet one by one forward. Lift the chest, keep your hands on the floor. You can have the knees bend if you need. Exhale, release the chest down, touch the head towards the legs if you can reach it. And then with strong, active legs, press the feet down and now rise all the way up. Tailbone down as you do this. Give space to your head to look up to your thumbs. And exhale, the arms come down to the side. Back to Samastitihi. So have a moment to check your position, the feet touching, the legs active, the shoulders open at the back, tailbone slightly down. And then when we're ready, we're going to do it one more time. And we try the other version with the full upward facing dog. Exhale completely. Inhale, hands up. Look up towards your hands. Exhale, bend forward. Bring the hands towards the floor and release the head down. Inhale, lift the chest, straight arms, lengthen the spine, lengthen the waist. Exhale, step your feet back one by one, coming into plank position. And then with active legs, active arms, lower yourself down. Without touching,
Inhale, roll over the toes, open the chest, bring the shoulders back, look at the tip of the nose. Exhale, lift your hips up. Coming to downward facing dog, gaze towards the belly. 1, 2, if this is becoming too heavy, if you're not used to putting so much weight on your wrist and your shoulders, come into chat pose for a couple of breaths during this 5, 4, and 5. Prepare and come back into downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward towards your hands. Inhale, step your feet forward. Come in to touch your feet together as you lift the chest. This is 1 deep breath. Exhale, release the chest and the head down. Inhale, come up, pressing the feet into the ground, strong, active legs. Tailbone down as you bring the rise and the arms up. Look up. Exhale, the arms by the side. Good. This is Surya Namaskar A. There's one last step that we can look at, which is instead of stepping back and forward, we can jump back and jump forward. So when we jump, we keep the feet back together and we are lifting the hips above the shoulders rather than just stepping the feet back and forth. So one last time. Exhale completely, prepare your starting position. Inhale, bring your hands up, look up towards your thumbs. Exhale, bend forward, bring the hands to the floor within, close to your feet. Release the head. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen. From here, we bend the knees, ground the hands well, and jump back into the high plank and lower slowly down without touching the floor if possible. Inhale, roll over the toes, open the chest, look up, and looking at the nose. And exhale, lift the hips back into downward facing dog. Adjust your feet if you need, and then spread the fingers. Remember to ground well at the root of the thumb and index finger, stretching the side of the shoulders, the side of the waist, and breathing deeper. Two more breaths. One more. Now here we bend the knees, the sit bones are high, the tailbone is up, looking towards the hands, and we're going to jump. Inhale, jump. The feet are coming and landing in between the hands, touching together. I lift the chest. Exhale, release the chest and the head down. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring the hands together, the tailbone down, lengthening, looking up. Exhale, hands by the side. Good. So come back into sitting position. And take a moment to feel how you feel. You can close your eyes and check the experience. We have been breathing deeper for the last few minutes, doing a lot of physical effort. So you might feel that the breath is still faster than normal. That's okay. You might feel a bit sweaty and activated, heat in the body. That's part of this practice as well. You might feel maybe a little bit dizzy or lightheaded. Also, this can be part of this practice as we're moving the energy in the body. So very important at the end that we take a moment of rest. Remember, the practice is about conscious breathing and movement. And we need to give a little bit of time for the body to integrate the experience and just come back to the natural rhythms. So after you've done the practice, you're taking a moment to lie down. So you're going to keep the space of the mat, more or less, will be the space that you use for the body. The feet a little bit wider apart. And we very slowly go with the round back all the way down to the floor.
using the whole space, taking the head on the ground, allowing the arms a little bit maybe further out from the mat with the palms facing out. I also let the feet rolling out to the side, so that allows the hips to open and relax. The shoulders relaxed and open, and then find that surrender into gravity. If I have the time to stay a little longer, I might cover myself with a blanket to make sure that I don't cool down too much. I close the eyes, and this is the taking rest position at the end of every practice. How long to stay? Well, that depends a little bit on how long you have practiced and how long you have. Ideally, for best benefits, you want to have a good 7 to 10 minutes at least. If you have more time, 15, 20 is great. And you want to stay conscious and awake as much as possible and enjoy that moment of rest. Namaste.